So now they're concerned illegal aliens will be discriminated against because they can't carry a gun, but they don't want you to have a gun. If you could write a better script on how you can make something a little more stupid.
So with that, let me introduce our speaker, someone that I'm sure most of you are familiar with and know, Don Spencer. Don, how long have you been doing OK2A, been involved with it?
My wife says an eternity.
An eternity. Don was born with a pistol in his hand, fighting for the Second Amendment. Oklahoma Second Amendment Association is just a dynamo in this state. It has had incredible success under Don's leadership and the involvement and leadership of the other members and former presidents and such. But they are just dynamic. We are fortunate to have them in this state fighting for our Second Amendment rights, but also for our other rights as well. I think that one of the taglines that you'll hear Don say quite often is, if we lose our Second Amendment rights, how are we going to defend ourselves for all of our other rights? How do we stand up and fight for those? Yeah. And so if we don't have that ability, it's kind of all lost. And look at the nations that have given up their right to bear arms. So we are fortunate today to have Don Spencer in the house to come and speak to us. We had a lot of things going on here recently, so give it up for Don, and we'll bring him up. We'll have a Q&A after.
Thank you. You know, I've had the 9.12 on my email forever. I'm thinking, when am I ever going to be able to make it over here? So this is actually a nice packed house for 7:30 in the morning for sure. To make it real simple and real easy, they want to take your guns. They want to take your guns, and we watched and witnessed this, even an effort just this summer after constitutional carry has been passed, signed by the governor. There was another ditch effort to file a petition to make this a referendum to go to a vote of the people. And OK2A, you know, we're not ones that's going to sit around and just let this melancholy happen for the fact that, one, they were misrepresenting what the bill, and actually now going to be law, November 1st, did. So let me go ahead and just go over it real quick. You have to be, and I sure hope everyone here is qualified, 21 years of age. Unless you're in the military, active duty military, you can be 18. You have to be able to legally purchase a weapon before you can carry it. And then you can carry a pistol, rifle, or shotgun, loaded or unloaded, on or about your person or in your vehicle, on or about your person by a scabbard, sling, holster, or a case. And that's how a firearm is to be transported on your person for the act of self-defense. Now, obviously, if you're out hunting, that's going to be a different application for what's going on. So that's basically it. In your own car, your own vehicle, a long gun, which is a rifle or a shotgun, must be carried magazine loaded but not chambered. And we're going to work to fix that just so it's just not complicated at all. It's your car, it's your gun, you carry it the way you think's best. That's what responsible people do that understand rights. So that's basically the gist of what's going on with constitutional carry. Now, we filed a protest because they were misrepresenting, and they were saying that a person would be able to carry on a college campus, which I want to happen. It's on the agenda because no gun zones is what exactly we're trying to reduce and eliminate as much as possible. But the fact is that they were using this fear tactic along with saying, which was another great statement, every police officer will have to ask every person if they have a firearm on them, which is grotesquely inaccurate also. And then the third one, which really cracked me up, is that they said the bill is discriminatory. Really? Yeah, because in their third concern is that a illegal alien, the law says an illegal alien cannot carry a firearm. Well, that's a federal law that we put in there because law enforcement asked us to, so it would be clarified on that. That is absolutely no problem with me. So we put that in there. So now they're concerned illegal aliens will be discriminated against because they can't carry a gun, but they don't want you to have a gun. So, you know, if you could write a better script on how you can make something a little more stupid, but That's easy for me because you can go back to Oklahoma gun laws for a lot of years, and they've been real stupid. OK2A this year will be the 8th felony repeal for the peaceful carry or ownership of a firearm since 2010. 8 felonies repealed. And this year, maybe some of you are familiar with it. It's called a Shockwave or a TAC-13. It's a shot. It looks like a shotgun, but by classifications, it's actually called a firearm. And that it has a 14-inch barrel on it. And under current Oklahoma law, that's considered a sawed-off shotgun because a shotgun barrel must be at least 18 inches long. But someone who designed this was figured out that if you have a certain type of handle and you've got it designed a certain way, it's classified as a firearm. So we're upgrading the language in Oklahoma, which cracks me up. A dealer can legally sell it under Oklahoma law, but you can't leave with it because it's a felony. You guys like gotchas? Because that's one of the gotchas that's been going on. So that's been repealed. It goes into effect November the 1st. These things are sold pretty often. You can see them in gun stores all over the place but I can just imagine if a person purchased one and they were to use one in an act of self-defense in their own home, and I can see a DA prosecuting you for it. I can see it in a minute. The amount of effort district attorneys go to prosecute people over self-defense act is absolutely nauseating. OK2A came to the rescue of a member a number of years ago because he gets woken up by his son. Dad, someone's beating up Mom in the front yard, Midwest City. Dad runs out the door, which, by the way, is a 100% disabled American veteran, pulls the oxygen thing out of his nose, picks up his gun because he's a licensed armed security officer and he's been in military, combat duty. There's 3 thugs and his wife's down on the ground. One of them reaches into a backpack and he puts the gun on him and says, don't move, blah, 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 and, nice, not so nice language, get out of here. Well, for some reason, they were convinced that they were kind of in the wrong place. And a neighbor saw this, calls the police, which would not be out of the ordinary by any means. Police show up. So what do? You arrest the guy with the gun, charge him with 2 felonies, let him stay in jail for 17 days. When he gets out, leave it in court for a year, and then after he's paid $10,000 in attorney's fees, what do? You drop the case the morning it goes to trial because you don't have a case. That's what Oklahoma County DA's done for you. Yeah. That's what.
Across the state.
Do what?
That happens across the state.
Oh, yeah, it's a consistent problem. The same DA's office charged a guy that was being attacked in his own garage, inside of his own garage by a Rottweiler, some other dog, and the guy shot the dog, and the DA was attempting to charge him with animal cruelty and illegal discharge of a firearm. And they say the problem, but here's the problem, folks. It's not the DA's, it's us electing them. Who are we putting in there? Who are we putting in there? And the mentality of DAs for many years is, if you have to point a gun at a person for the act of self-defense and you don't squeeze the trigger, you never needed the gun to begin with. Because obviously you didn't need it. That is the legal mentality that takes place. So OK2A, I believe it was 3 years ago, we got it passed. So if a person is pointing a gun for the act of self-defense, it shall not be a felony. Isn't that an obvious? Look what we have to do. And now what we have to do, if three punks are approaching you and you pull your coat back and you show you have a gun and say, hey, I've got a gun, you need to leave, that's still considered brandishing and an act of deadly force, and you can be prosecuted for it. So OK2A is working on that bill this year, and we're going to call it defensive posturing. So that if you have to put your hand on your gun, if you say I have a gun, anything like that, it is an act of self-defense, and we're going to make sure it's clear. And I hate to say this, folks, we're going to try to do like Texas. It's not an act of deadly force until you squeeze the trigger. Yeah, someone may die of a heart attack, but they're not dying of an impact of a piece of lead. So, but that's the way I look at it. Also, my ultimate goal too, it used to be in Oklahoma not that long ago. Someone stole your horse and they were caught. What happened to them? Really? So the way it should be, the way I look at it, because I've seen this happen. A guy's an independent plumber. He's got his truck parked out in front of his house. He may have $100,000 worth of truck and equipment and gear and stuff on that truck. Someone steals it. Well, where does that leave him? That's without his horse. That is his horse. I personally think you should be able to defend your property because that's a part of your livelihood. And just like Texas. And Texas also has third-person property protection. So you can protect your neighbor's property if he tells you to, just like you can your own. We need that here. And you want to see crime go down in a hurry? Knowing that, dadgum, if I just go up there and try to take that guy's truck, I could be filled full of lead. And if you're lucky, you'll be dead. Otherwise, because some of these guys could be comedians and just leave you flopping like a fish out of water, So I think that is an absolute pushback on so much of the crime that we see, because there's just not, we voted to let people out of jail because our jails are so full or over, and we had to do something. But here's the what are we going to do with these people that continue to commit these crimes? And their punishments are not being held out for very long periods of time. So it's a tap on the wrist kind of thing. So that's some of the goals of OK2A. We also have a bill in right now. By the way, at the beginning of this session, we had 38 bills introduced at OK2A request. So if you don't think it's being addressed, your gun rights are being addressed, you're just not paying attention. You're not paying attention. And that's okay, because we'll let you know when it is time to pay attention, because I know people have lives, they got things to do, and so on. So I recommend, one, always becoming a member so we can keep you informed. And if you're any type of an advent of social media, we can really, really, really keep you informed of what's going on. But be that as it may, bills that were carried over, and people say, well, 38, why so many? Well, actually, the way it works is, and I've been a strong proponent of it for years, and our success is based on it, it's incrementalism. It's incrementalism. And it wasn't incrementalism how we lost our gun rights. Oklahoma became a state in 1907, and one of the first laws that was passed was you shall not be able to carry a pistol, rifle, or shotgun on or about your person, loaded or unloaded. Anyone ever heard of the Second Amendment? Oklahoma didn't care. Oklahoma does not recognize the Second Amendment, and still to this day does not recognize the Second Amendment. Even when constitutional carry goes into effect November the 1st, you still do not have a right to carry a gun in the state of Oklahoma, because the state legislature says we have the control, because the state law or the state constitution says your right to carry a firearm shall never be prohibited. But, and there's this nasty little semicolon, but the legislature can regulate the carrying of weapons. Well, where I'm from, that's called an oxymoron. It's either one or the other. It's not both. So, and this is the Constitution of the state of Oklahoma. And so, not only that, I'm going to go back to Judges. 1908. Oklahoma became a state in 1907. 1908, there's a gun case in front of the state Supreme Court because an attorney had a pistol in his pocket for self-defense, and it was discovered. He was convicted of it. Well, and they made it broad. They made it, okay, anyone carrying a concealed weapon is committing a crime. Oh, well, that's great. So it applied to a case in 1926 out in Ellis County, where a search warrant is being served on his home because he's suspected of being a bootlegger. Bootlegger. They kind of run together. I'm sorry, you'll have to work with me here. So they knock on the door. The gentleman answers the door with a Colt 45 pistol in his belt. They said, we've got a search warrant. We're going to serve it. He said, okay, fine. He steps out. They go in, they search. They ask him to come in a time or two, and he waits back out in the yard. They don't find anything that they're looking for. So what do? They arrest him for open carry of a pistol in his own front yard. That's still on the books today. Not only did he was convicted of it, it goes to the State Criminal Court of Appeals, where it is upheld. And on top of the ruling, it says by the Criminal Court of Appeals, the legislature can outlaw the ownership and possession of a pistol. Welcome to communist just name a country. I don't care. No. Oh, it's worse than that. Californians could have a gun out in their yard. They could have it on their property. You could not have a gun. And actually, still today, actually until 2012, because OK2A got it passed, that you could carry a gun on your own property without permission from the government. And a lot of people didn't realize that's what I do like about really big gun bills. There's stuff in there that they don't read it. They don't read it. And that's why we're able to get like the constitutional carry. I probably had 7 or 8 gun bills in that one gun bill because it's big, they don't read it, and the fact is it is complicated. It can be complicated. So you don't have a constitutional right. November 1st, you won't have a constitutional right. But so what are we going to do about it? Well, last year we introduced with State Senator Bullard, Senate SJR 16, and it clarifies your right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It has other language in there too. It makes a carve out so the state can control people that have felonies and can control people with domestic violence issues. That those people can be, and also mentally adjudicated. So those people can, and then also clarifies that no one can have a separate special regulations on guns. So that's what we're looking at that for SJR 16 for next session. We got to get it out of the Senate, which will be very difficult. The biggest problem in the state of Oklahoma on your gun rights and in advancing them is Republicans. I want to say that again. The problem is Don't act shocked. Don't act shocked. It's Republicans are the problem. We have a supermajority in the House, we have a supermajority in the Senate, and we have the governor's office. What's stopping us? There's not a single Democrat that could do a single thing. You can't blame Democrats. You can't blame them. It's the Republicans. So, and if you want, there were 6 Republicans that voted against your rights on constitutional carry. 6 of them.
Name them. But are they real or are they?
I'm sorry?
Who are they?
3 out of Comanche County, Worthen, Pay, and Caldwell. Right over here at Cushing, Representative Talley, who actually got up and argued with the Democrats against constitutional carry on the floor, who has an F rating with OK2A. He's not supporting rights. And he replaced an A++ rated Republican. So, and then also, I believe Carol Bush, and then also one other, J.D. Nolan. So again, folks, if we can't get something done, you've got no one to blame but the Republicans. None. Your rights, our rights should have been fixed in about 3 or 4 gun bills. Just let me get all of it, fix it, push it through. But no, the problem is Republicans. Now, when I've gone back to state constitution, we've run this bill, basically the same language, in 2013 and in 2016, and the Republicans killed it both times. It's not a matter of change. That's how they come in. Look at John Talley. He was a Democrat, ran as Democrat, got beat, so he runs as Republican and wins. So, folks, you've got to watch this and read this how this is now. OK2A, excuse me a second. We do endorsements, surveys of candidates, and so far, our candidates, with the exception of one, and I'll explain that later, have kept their word, kept their oath. And it's good to have something signed from them because you can tell that they're committed. Now, the other funny thing about that, we put a lot of pressure before the election on Governor, with the TAM candidate, Governor Stitt. And he would not sign our candidate survey. But here's the second part of that. You better get out of this guy's way. He is a mover. He is a shaker. He's gone into this as a businessman. It is so nice to actually see someone with a business sense instead of a political savvy go in there and take this over. He's kind of like Trump except nice. Nice, and he's done by far more to protect our gun rights than the president ever has. And I want to make sure it's clear too, folks. President Trump has done more to harm your gun rights than Obama so far.
Now, the gentleman you mentioned in Oklahoma City, was he the mayor of Oklahoma City?
Who did I mention?
You mentioned I think he's thinking
Stitt?
Tally, but
No, Tally's, he's a representative out by Cushing. Now, the mayor of Oklahoma City, he got on board with signing, David Holt, he signed the Moms Demand Action referendum against your rights. That's what we're dealing with. And as a state senator, he was poor. He was poor. In fact, he told me, you guys will love this. I'm in his office trying to get a gun bill passed. The representative from the National Rifle Association is sitting in a chair right next to me. I have the witness. And David Holt, Mayor David Holt, he was a senator at the time, told me, I'm not voting for your bill because Mick Cornett told me not to do that, who was the previous mayor. What Constitution? Right. See which way that wind's blowing. And so that's the leadership of Oklahoma City. He's a nice guy, but what are you thinking? What are you doing? And like I said, to come out there and sign and try to get people revved up on signing a referendum against your rights, folks, we've waited 112 years. We're not waiting any longer. We're not waiting any longer. And in fact, I highly, highly recommend everyone here on the Friday morning of November the 1st, we're having the rally, not a rally, the rally for Second Amendment rights at the state capitol. People are invited. Bring your guns. Put them in the holster, carry them legally. If you have a long gun, make sure it's strapped. We're asking everyone to make sure it's not chambered, that there's no ammunition in it, because guess who wants us to have an accident? They want us, Moms Demand Action. We got it. These people are crazy. They're rowdy. And they're going to be real disappointed that day because, but we're setting things up. We're going to have a sound system. But like I say, I hope if you've ever made a trip to the Capitol, this is the day to do it. This is what liberty will look like. This is what liberty will look like, the restoration of a right that should have never been taken away, period. It should have never been gone. And we wouldn't even be having this argument had our grandparents not fell into the socialism that this state was founded on. This state was founded on socialism, and that's why it's so difficult to move laws and things away from it, because they're already so ingrained in the judicial system, and no one will look straight to a constitution for what they should be doing. And that's the problem with. Oh, Trump? Oh, did I not finish? We need the message to get to President Trump. We want the same tenacity. You're building a wall to protect our Second Amendment rights. We want the same tenacity that you're hitting up the Chinese with to protect ours. We want that same tenacity. We want the same tenacity to, like I say, to build a wall. We want that, and we want the same tenacity how you talk to the media. That's the tenacity we want defending our Second Amendment right. And there's no reason for that not to be taking place. Even if he does not advance our rights, he should not be doing anything to take them away. That's what should be happening. Now, the message that, ma'am, OK2A has an incredibly large following that's growing. And what's going on in Oklahoma here is Oklahoma has been the reddest state, and they're taking it for granted. People won't go vote for the Democrat, but what they will do is not vote at all. They won't mark the president's name. And I can tell you there's hundreds of people in our organization that are saying, I'm fed up with this. We can't do it. We can't just let him get off the hook. Even though he's taking care of all these other things, it's our rights. It's what we have to protect first, not last. And I mean, I see that and I understand that. So before you just go jumping on the bandwagon, Trump, we got to get him on a bandwagon with us on it.
I think he could be doing rope and dope.
If he had to be, if he would not have done with bump stocks. And if anyone here knows what a bump stock is, what happened? It's just an attachment that goes onto a rifle that accelerates the fire of the gun. I've shot one. It's not something I would own myself or would want, but it's an attachment to the gun like a scope or many other attachments. And so to make 400,000 people criminals overnight who peacefully own and have them and who don't go shoot up places or shoot up concerts is absolutely immoral. It's absolutely unconstitutional. And then again, like I said, it wasn't done through Congress. It's done through a bureaucracy. Oh.
And isn't the bump stock just a workaround because they have illegally banned machine guns and automatic weapons?
Yes, and they're trying to bring it underneath that category. The second part is, let's hear it for American ingenuity. It's called a binary trigger. It actually works better than the bump stock. And it actually is faster and has a better performance. And it's just by going, that's it. That's it. Because a binary trigger fires when you pull it, and then it lets off when it fires when you let off. And it's really very efficient. So there's someone already figuring a way around it, but but the thing is, it's a slippery slope. You can't let them have any of it. And my concern is, like I say, and I'm really disappointed in this portion of the NRA for not telling him right off the bat, you can't do it, don't even think about it. But rope-a-dope, I'm not convinced that's happening. And then I'm concerned too, what do you do in the second 4 years? Because with Hillary Clinton, what would people have done if Hillary Clinton had been elected and she's coming after your guns? You guys would be beating up their representatives, you'd be beating up your legislators, you would be letting them know that cannot happen. But people are, everything else is going okay, we'll just sit back and it's it was tough getting our membership to grow when Trump became president because everything's okay. And the fact is it's not, because here at the state level, you've got Bloomberg money coming in, which, by the way, Representative Lowe, who's the person that introduced the referendum, or who filed the petition, he said that, well, the people need to speak. And maybe some of you have saw, there was a 10-minute debate I had with him on a news station in Channel 9. I don't know if you've seen that or not. But his point is that the people need to speak, and he kept referring to us as a democracy. And I said, well, are we a democracy? And he said, yes. I said, well, fundamentally, we were completely disagreement here right off the bat because we are a representative republic. And he said, well, the problem is all the gerrymandering. And he was really caught off guard. And I said, well, that's why you got a job, gerrymandering. That's why your district is so well protected. That's why there's not a Republican going to beat you in your district. And if you want, I'm sure they could gerrymander it where there can be 2 or 3 Republicans that can give you a serious run. And apparently that doesn't strike so well when you're actually, he may have to actually work to keep his job. And there's districts that we know that are just absolutely going to be Republican. There's districts that are going to be absolute Democrats, and that's how they work that. But the fact is, socialism has got to be stopped. It's the Democratic Party that's pushing it. And the fact is, folks, it's in the Republican Party too now. It's in the Republican Party too. And it really kills me. I had 7 uncles serve in the Second World War, all of them fighting socialists. My dad was a veteran of Korea, and I lost a cousin, a Marine in Vietnam fighting the socialists. And here it's being embraced, right here in America, right here in our state, right here in our public schools. It's being embraced. So, and along with that being embraced is any person that owns a gun, you're the problem. Not that you used it wrong or did anything wrong, but you're the problem. So Moms Demand Action, they'll say, oh no, we're not coming after your guns, but what did Beto O'Rourke say?
Yeah.
Now, the only difference between Beto O'Rourke and anyone else on that stage is the words came out of his mouth. That's the only difference. That's it. That's the only difference. And they want to take your guns. He made it clear. Moms Demand Action, and Representative Lowe was saying, oh no, we just want common sense gun laws. Right, so no one has guns. That's in their world, that's common sense. And for anyone that's ever been involved where you were in an act of self-defense, folks, you need a gun. And you need to be able to defend yourself. If you're willing to and capable. If you're not, no, you should not be doing that. But again, that goes back to the right of responsibility. It's not the government's decision. And that's one of the reasons why I've been such a strong proponent for the constitutional carry. People keep yelling, well, they don't have any training. Well, who said they don't? I'm from the Oklahoma City area. You guys remember the shooting last year at Louis'? There was a restaurant. And a licensed armed security guard decides to go in and shoot up that restaurant. 2 guys with no license, just happened to be there. They hear shots fired. The one gentleman named Brian Whittle said to his wife, hand me the gun, because he would just get out of the car. She pitches it to him. He turns around. The guy comes out. The guy points the gun, and they exchange gunfire, and he shoots and kills him. He did not have a SDA license by the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma's not the legislature, but the OSBI, no, these people have to be licensed. Really? Because according to you, they need training. That's right. Well, he was a reserved military officer. But according to you, he wasn't trained until he has that piece of plastic that he's paid for from you. So in Don's own idea, and we also tried to work for years, for 5 years, I tried to get it, because to get a license, it cost you $100, basically $125. I had it structured where it would be $25. And they would not do it. So basically, in so many words, I just said, screw them. So we went ahead and took years, and we not only shoved constitutional carry down their throat, basically we kind of broke it off. Because, in fact, we tried to work with the bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy said, no, we have to, this cracks me up, we have to protect our employees. People will lose jobs. I'm thinking, well, that's great, because in 2016, I was laid off from the oil field. Who protected my job? So if we can get by with less government, that seems to be the way it's supposed to work, but not in the mindset of a bureaucracy. Oh no, these people, they're real people. They've got jobs. Well, they can find another one, just like I did, multiple times. So again, when you deal with the bureaucracy on these levels, now the bureaucracy can also apply to the legislature itself in a mentality. My gosh, people carrying guns without a license, no training. Well, I don't know about you, but I got training from my dad when I may not even have been a teenager. And I'm a CLEAT certified firearm instructor. And those basics don't change. You don't point a gun at something unless you know you're capable or willing to destroy it. Every firearm is loaded until you check it yourself. These are just the two basics of all of it. And so, and then, teaching how to work and handle a gun, and what's more important than your target is what's behind your target. Because, it could be innocent life. So these things don't change. And I personally have, a woman, I actually worked with a woman who had been raped and still had the ex-boyfriend out there on the prowl. She wanted to be able to defend herself. But the state of Oklahoma said, even though I had trained her, she could not defend herself until she had that piece of plastic.
Right.
It's asinine. So with all these things around here, all these put together, like I say, my respect for bureaucracy is just to be polite. But the fact is, we told them, constitutional carry is coming. You guys better work with us or you're going to get run over. So it took 2 tries on the governor's desk. So if you think that we won't stop what we're doing, we'll keep chugging along. That's for sure. And I don't know how much my time is. Am I doing my time?
Can you talk about the red flag laws?
What they are? Okay.
Yeah.
Red flag laws is the backdoor way to kill your constitutional right. If you have been in the military, you're the first target. Because all they can simply have to do is a neighbor, a so-called friend, a relative can say, you know what, I heard him yelling at the TV. He was yelling at one of the Democrat candidates about gun control, and I'm scared that he's going to take his guns and harm me. So I'm calling the police. The police show up. They assess this. The police decide, oh, yes, we need to take this guy's gun. Meanwhile, you've not been adjudicated. You've not been in front of a judge. You've not been in front of a jury. You've not been convicted. They're taking your guns from you. Yes, and it's that simple. And they're taking your ammunition. And if you're, like I say, if you're a veteran of any type, you're the first easy, soft target on the list. And what this will do is now, a public school, a kid says, yeah, my dad went hunting last week. Well, now this teacher's in fear that since that kid's dad knows they have a hunting rifle or a shotgun, they could come up to that school and shoot that school up. So therefore, we are much wiser, and we need to come and take the guns. The next thing you know, that they're on the doorstep, because all they have to do is tell a officer, and then the officer has to get a court order. And again, the person has never been in front of a judge. Now, here's the second part I've worked on really hard. And because, these domestic violence, these things are happening. It's terrible. Well, I agree. But let's go back to what the real problem is and not the symptom. The problem is the heart. Look women have been so devalued. We've devalued marriage. We've devalued life. And so why wouldn't you think everything else would just crumble in its wake with it? So as far as I'm concerned, the best thing I know in a domestic violence issue is a woman being able to defend herself. Let's make sure she has that option. It may not work every time, no. And we know there are crazies out there that are just going to do their thing. And they're just going to be crazy. But the thing is, even a crazy person will think, you know what? That person's got a gun. I think I'll go to a softer target. And these things happen. But red flag laws is the backdoor way to take your gun rights. And anytime, and like I said, you need to be a member of OK2A so we can keep you informed on when these are happening. So when your representative or your senator is dealing with these, they need to hear from you. And they need to hear from you respectfully. The best thing you can do to shore up with your legislator or potential legislator is go have breakfast with them, have coffee, go talk to them, just see where they're at. These are real people. So if you think you're going to go up there and get in their face and just start telling them what to do, you're hurting the cause. You're killing the cause. I've seen this happen. It actually slowed down open carry in 2012 because there were some people that thought that well, we're strong constitutionals. You're going to do what we tell you. Where I'm from, I hope you guys are convinced I'm pretty much the constitutional guy, Second Amendment. But someone walks up to me, sticking their finger in my face, telling me I'm going to vote for a gun bill that I may have already been willing to vote for, that could be a no. I mean, these are real people. So you've got to keep these things in mind. And like say, who's ever heard of Phyllis Schlafly? Little lady she was about that tall. She convinced the United States Congress to not make sure women were required to go into the military by force. And she did it by being polite, peaceful, interactive. And to me, that's been a pretty good example on how to go with. There may be someone you completely disagree with who's a representative or a senator, but you got to respect the position. Even though you don't have a whole lot of likes for the person, because here's the crazy thing. They may throw you a bone once in a while. You may get an extra, am I on my time?
No, you're fine.
Oh.
I thought we'd open it up for questions.
Oh.
Since there might be some.
Questions?
Questions? We'll just pass the mic around. We can't do the questions into the mic that we're.
Okay, I'm only taking questions in English today, okay?
That's good because that's all I speak. How do you feel about NRA? I'm an NRA member, and I've been an NRA member for a long, long time. Is that a mistake?
No, it's not a mistake. Here's the deal. I'm a life member of the NRA also, and my CLEAT certification is partially through with the NRA. This is what I consider the NRA. They're kind of in a bad marriage, so you kind of got to step back and wait for them to get their act back together, get their life back together. I'm not.
You're talking about internally?
Yes, and the leadership. Yes. I think they will. Wayne LaPierre, he's done a lot for the rights and stuff. But anytime you've got someone that's been in a position for 40 years, it's time. I mean, it's time to go. We've seen this in legislature. I mean, our own state legislature says you're done in 12 years. I think that's probably a good idea. Even with him, you can't tell me that there's not another capable person of taking and running this. So, do I contribute right now? No. Get your act together before I start contributing. I'm a member of GOA. I'm a member of, I don't know how many of them I'm a member of, but I support it.
GOA, I joined them, and they didn't have anything for me to do other than send them dues once a year.
Well,
I want to do something. And
well,
NRA had a lot for me to do.
The GOA also worked with OK2A and OK2A's founding in 2009. Larry Pratt has been at several of our meetings. They fly in at their expense to do that. So I would not say they don't do anything. Just because you don't see it, and it's just like OK2A, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening.
I want to be involved, though. I don't want to just...
The only thing stopping that is you. Okay, now if you're talking the national level, or you're talking the state level?
I don't care.
Okay, the state level, you need to be an OK2A member, and you'll be involved because you're going to be well informed of what's going on and what takes place.
I'm ready to join just because of what you just said about the NRA. A lot of people, though, who are in OK2A are going to tell you it's a mistake to join the NRA.
Well, and people are all entitled to their opinions, which is fine. I would say if there was a new person coming up right now and said, should I join the NRA? I would say, no, you need to devote your efforts to another avenue. But like the GOA, because the GOA is fighting very hard in Washington, D.C. But folks, keep one thing in mind, and I tell this a lot. Don't even focus on Washington, D.C. till we got things straight right here in our own backyard. Right here. If you don't have it straight right here, those idiots are never going to get it right. So let's get it right here and set the example for what we expect to be 1,300 miles away. Hope that answers your question.
Other questions? Okay.
Remember, it's English. Don't you do that cop talk to me.
On the Mom's Demand Action petition?
Yes.
Because part of the petition, as I understand it, was materially wrong.
Correct.
Is that enough? Would that have been enough to invalidate?
Yes, our attorneys were very calm. We actually filed 6 points that were inaccurate in it. I described the first 3, which were the most egregious. Stating that you could carry on a college campus I read the law to the representative during the debate, and he didn't care. Oh no, you could have it in your car. I said, you can today. But they were making it sound you could, and also I have video of me going up to a Mom's Demand Action at the Oklahoma City Zoo and them telling me, oh yes, a person can carry on a college campus with or without a license. Well, that'd be great, but it's not accurate. But I didn't challenge these ladies. I know they were being told what to do or what to say. And even though it was real easy for me to open it up and say, okay, I wrote the bill and here's where you're wrong, I didn't go there. We waited for the appropriate time for that, and that was with the Supreme Court. So our attorneys were quite confident that it would have been kicked out very easily just on those 3 points alone.
And I had another question. Oh yeah, has the NRA not been helpful with Oklahoma 2A at all? That's
a great question. We have a very, very close working relationship with the NRA. They're actually, the Senate Bill 24, I talked about the shockwave, which was kind of a weird shaped gun. Anytime you mix federal law with the state law, it's just, there's tentacles out there that you don't know. So the NRA actually supplied some of the language for the bill. They also, and this is a part I think is kind of funny, I sent Travis Couture-Lovelady, who is the NRA rep for Oklahoma, we have a very good working relationship with them. And I sent a list of all the bills that had been introduced at OK2A's request, which were 38. And their response back from their legal department was, is that all? Being extremely sarcastic, because folks, all these states across the country, they're on defense. Look at Colorado. Colorado was a really, really, really red state 25, 30 years ago. Look at it now. They're on defense just trying to keep stuff from going away, and here we are on offense. And so it's healthy for them, it's healthy for us, but the NRA is a good resource that we go to and work with on this. And also legislators, there's a lot of legislators that have a respect for the NRA, and so, but I'll tell you one problem we have with the NRA. Grading system. Oklahoma, I sat there in the room and I watch a committee chair or committee or even watch the arguments on the floor. So when I see Representative Republican John Talley arguing against constitutional carry, we're marking him down. All the NRA does is just look at the vote. We have Republicans that will argue against a bill, and argue against it, and then when they realize they can't defeat it, then they'll vote for it. You're not getting away with that crap from us. If you're working against a bill at any point, I've even marked people down working against a bill behind closed doors because I could verify it. So we're marking you down and we're calling you out. So when Representative Dale Curbs out in Shawnee, what he said and sent an email stating that, yes, we will move this bill out of my committee to this other committee so it can be heard, and then he didn't do it, we called him out on it. And they hate that. They don't like me, but you know what? I didn't go up there to make friends, and if you did, you're really in a bad way. But the fact is, we're going to be accurate, we're going to be honest, we're going to be truthful, and everything we've displayed, and here's the other thing, as soon as that vote happens, I'll take a picture with my phone or make a copy of it for the screenshot. I'll post it 10 minutes later, and the people in their district are already knowing how they voted, and they don't like that. They don't like that. So also State Representative Pay out of Comanche County, like I say, the Comanche County Triangle, 3 Republicans voting against constitutional carry. He had filled out a survey with us saying he would support it. Now, we did not endorse him because there were other very weak spots on his survey. So he goes back to Comanche County. They're having a deal at the library there, and we show up with 24 OK2A members asking him why he didn't support it. And you watch the guy, it was embarrassing to listen to his response. So we're calling people. They know we're calling people, but the one thing, the biggest regrets that legislators have is knowing we're calling them, we're having a vote, we're showing their grading on it. So, yes, sir.
Well, I wanted to go back to the red flag laws. I love Kevin Hearn. I helped get him elected, but he has signed on to the TAPS Act, which is H.R. 838. He did it back in end of April, before anything came up, but it is a Republican-sponsored red flag law bill. It hasn't gone anywhere yet, but it gained a bunch of sponsors after the shootings. They've got 150 co-sponsors, and he needs to have some education. Be nice about it. He and I are in discussions about it, but he needs to hear from more than
he needs
me.
to hear from me because we endorsed him for his race too. Here's a bigger problem on top of that, and it's really sad. But we are the state's leading advocate for Second Amendment rights. There should not be anyone surprised by that. And so when I called and requested a meeting with Senator Inhofe, his staff would not allow it.
Wow.
That's bad. I have voted for that guy for virtually every election he's ever ran. But his staff would not allow it. And he was here in August. I said, I will go anywhere in the state of Oklahoma, meet with him. I will need to meet with him for 10 or 15 minutes because I want to go over red flag laws. Let him know and get him get the message to the president. Don't do it. Don't sign it. Don't even think about going there. His staff made sure I could not talk to him. So that's one of the big problems. Kevin Hearn, I have his phone number. If I want to talk to him, I can get in contact with him. And it sounds like we do need to have a conversation. But folks, I've been trying to put fires out here. And if I've actually, this is the other annoying part. People want me to go to Washington D.C. to talk to them. No, man, we're cleaning up our backyard. We're going to clean up here. Those crazies are going to do what they're going to do. I have U.S. Representative Lucas, who's just hot air wind as far as I'm concerned, and he's not even the worst one. So, but Hearn, I think there's things to work with there. But that's why you got to send to constitutionalists, because when they get into that cesspool of socialism that's waiting on them there, it's going to take a really strong person. It really is.
Any other questions? Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the states that have a constitutional carry already? And what
Okay.
is their experience with the transition?
Great, excellent question. There's 15 other states besides Oklahoma. The transition is you don't notice a difference in crime, and actually in some places it's plateaued and actually gone down. Moms Demand Action has no problem distorting what the actual things are. What they've done is they'll say, oh no, crime. They'll say crime has gone up, school shootings have gone up. But what they'll do is, if a person commits suicide in a car next to the property of a school, that's considered a school shooting. So their accuracy is, there's more people die from opioid overdose than from shootings. And if you take out the suicides, which is too high, there's too many. If you take that out, it's not even in the top 10 of, in fact, it's like 15 or 18 of deaths. So it was more dangerous for you to drive to the meeting this morning than it is for you to be carrying a gun, statistically speaking. So I hope that answered your question. Okay.
Well, I wasn't planning on asking another question, but I will.
I'm going to charge you by the question.
Pardon me?
I'm going to charge you by the question.
I'm going to join 2A for a
Okay, I
year.
withdraw the charge.
Okay. But I'm hoping that I have something to do other than pay dues. I want to have something to do, and you're wrong if you think I won't help.
Oh, I didn't say you wouldn't help.
Yeah.
I didn't say.
You said it was my fault.
No,
if I'm
I
not
said it's
helping.
up to you. If I come across it, I meant for it's up to you.
Okay.
But we can keep you just focused on what you need to worry about. We also this year endorsed Senate Bill 361. Which is a free speech bill on college campuses. It's unbelievable if you were a Christian and you wanted to talk about have a Bible bunch on a college campus, but man, they would pump all the money into every homosexual group there was or is, and that's your tax dollars. That is your tax dollars. So for us, people think that we're a gun group, and that's not true. We are a liberty group. We just happen to realize it may take guns to maintain that liberty. And First Amendment is just as important on that.
Before we wrap it up, tell us again the November 1.
November 1st, 10 a.m., south sides of the state capitol will be the rally for Second Amendment rights and constitutional carry in the state of Oklahoma.
And how do we get a hold of OK2A?
OK2A.org. You can go on your phone. You can go on your computer. You can join online. We have a membership start as simple as $25. I ask you to become what's called as a monthly recurring member, $5 a month, $10 a month. That way we can actually project what's going on. And I want to make one other thing real clear. I've done this for 3 years with no pay. This is how big a deal it is. I've done this for 3 years with no pay. We need to have this state support me being at that state capitol to guard this because, folks, these red flag laws are not going away. They're not going away. We've crushed them before with Republicans that have introduced them. We stopped them last year that Democrats have introduced them. And by the way, the red flag bills authorizes the police officer to take the gun, keep the gun, destroy the gun, or use it for educational purposes.
And how many other rights does that violate?
Only about everything you can breathe. Exactly. So, okay.
John, thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.